I'm Elena, 26. I work the closing shift at a pharmacy. Nights blur into pill bottles and ringing phones, and I pick up deliveries after to chip at my student loans. I'm the kid from Dad's first marriage, the one who learned early how to sit quiet so grown-ups wouldn't start another fight. My stepmom, Tessa, runs the house like it's a spreadsheet you can bully into balance. My stepbrother, Rex, calls himself an entrepreneur. If you count 3 side hustles that died in the garage and borrowed money that never came back, he's successful. I'm not fancy. I don't wear designer or anything. I don't go to restaurants where the menu doesn't show prices. My dreams are small and steady. A clean place that's mine. A job where I can breathe. Maybe a night where I sleep without waiting for the next explosion. I wasn't rich or glamorous, and I didn't have a big title. But I had something they didn't expect. I had patience. I had a long memory. And I kept receipts literal and emotional. People like to say I'm too sensitive. They mean I remember. I remember every time someone jokes in public to make you smaller. I remember how money gets used like a leash. I remember who stands up and who looks away. If you've ever been underestimated and told to just take it, I see you. Subscribe if you know the pain of being underestimated. This community listens. It started with a midnight call while I was on my way home from the pharmacy. I just locked the gate, slipped my badge into my pocket, and texted my dad, "Done. Heading in." My phone buzzed before I could shove it into my bag. "Elena," Dad whispered. He never called me during his night shift. He hates being the cause of alarms. "Don't go home." What? Why? "I'm 5 minutes away. Please, not tonight." His breath hit the mic like he'd run. Tessa called the police. My hand froze on the strap of my bag. The parking lot hummed with vending machines and a far-off freight train. What did she say? "She told them you threatened her." He swallowed. "And she says you took Grandma's bracelet." My what? My mouth dried. "Dad, it's in the safe. It has a code." "I know." A scrape, like he pressed his hand over the phone. "She sent pictures." A broken window, your jewelry tray empty. I stood under a busted streetlight at the corner by our block. The bulb buzzed and clicked, trying and failing. It painted everything sick yellow. My name came in on the family group chat, pinging on my screen like shots in a video game. "Tessa, pray for us. Elena broke in and stole from family." Then a photo of a smashed window. Then my empty jewelry tray. That tray wasn't empty when I left. I hadn't even been home. I stared at the picture, then at the timestamp she'd left. In the corner, minutes ago. I checked the pharmacy clock out in my head. 12:09 a.m., the app says 12:11. The streetlight buzzed harder. I pulled my jacket tight and turned the corner. Blue and red washed over my mailbox like a cheap music video. 2 squad cars sat with their noses pointed at our curb. An officer stepped out and squared his shoulders. "Ma'am, step over here." Tessa waved like a pageant queen. "That's her," she said. "She's obsessed. We've tried to help." Rex leaned on the driveway post, hood up, grinned wide like he bought the whole street. "Should have kept your hands to yourself, Lena. I've been at work since 3, I said. "I have Timecards." "Ask them." A neighbor whispered, "That's her." The words growing teeth as they passed along the railings. Someone flipped on a porch light. Another phone came up to record. I felt heat in my cheeks and tried to swallow it. The cop's radio crackled. With my name and address. Another officer lifted a camera, quick flash in my eyes. A front door creaked open. Miss Alvarez from 2B stepped out in scrubs with a sweater thrown over them. She didn't wave. She didn't speak. She just lifted her phone like she knew something I didn't. And I thought maybe the truth's quiet. Maybe it's sitting behind her doorbell. They called it a family decision, dinner, and I found out about it from Instagram stories. There was the dining room table, the good plates, the roast chicken Tessa only made when people she wanted to impress were coming. There was a caption, "Big choices tonight. Family first. I came after my shift. Hair smelling like antiseptic, my hands still cracking from soap. I didn't dress up. I didn't have time." When I walked in, plates were already on laps, wine already poured. There wasn't a seat with my name on it. "There wasn't a seat for me at all. We weren't expecting you," Tessa said, standing between me and the dining room like a guardrail. "You're not stable right now." "Stable," I repeated. The words sat heavy, like a spoonful of cold gravy. "It's better if you don't confuse things." she added, with a smile that never touched her eyes. Dad stood behind her, holding a plate he didn't seem hungry for. He met my eyes and made a tiny motion with his head. Wait, please. It looked like the thing you do when someone's pulling a bandage off too fast. What's the decision? I asked. We're discussing the house, Tessa said. The market. Options. Our house? I said. Where I live. Rex laughed. My fork and knife fingers tightened on air. I tried to keep my voice level. Are you selling it? We're exploring, Tessa said. It's complicated. She angled her body more. Maybe you can get something quick to eat and head back to your room. We need to focus. I stood there, smelling rosemary and butter, my stomach growling. Like it didn't know better? I walked to the kitchen. There was a plate left by accident in the sink from someone else. I put tap water in a glass and drank. On the fridge, a printout fluttered homeowner's insurance info and a line in bold. Inventory update recommended. I stared at it for a second too long. Don't take photos in here, Tessa said behind me. I'm not. Just checking. Her smile had teeth this time dot at my cousin's birthday. Under strings of dollar store lights and a sheet cake with too much frosting, Rex stood and clinked a glass. Everyone turned. He waited for the quiet and then said, Quick note, Hyde. Your purses, everybody. Laughter, not loud, but enough. The kind that lets you know you're the punchline. Again, my face burned. I took a breath. You still owe me $380, I said. From when I covered your car insurance, remember? He smirked. Oh, look, the accountant. The room shifted. A couple people chuckled, but their eyes dropped. One cousin coughed into a napkin. My aunt scraped frosting off a plate like it. Was her job? The air felt like it was choosing sides, and none of them were mine. You said you'd pay me back. I said small. I will, he said big. Soon as I recover my stolen goods, Aunt Marla touched my arm. Sweetie, this attention-seeking is not flattering. Something inside me lifted its head. Attention-seeking? I wanted to list every time I'd done the opposite. Every time. I'd shrunk. Instead, I swallowed. Happy birthday, I said to my cousin. She gave me a look that said sorry and don't make it worse. I nodded and stepped back. I didn't clap back. I collected that week. A disconnect notice landed in my email. The electric bill overdue by months. The Wi-Fi too. Both still in. My name from when I lived there last year, because it was easier for paperwork, I had asked them 3 times to switch it. I had texted the numbers and dates and screenshots. Nothing. When I texted Tessa again, the 3 dots blinked. Then her reply popped up. Maybe don't weaponize bills to control family. Weaponize. I stared at the word. I put the notice in a new folder. I opened my notes app and started a timeline. Clock-ins, text, bank alerts. When I returned the extra key. The day the locksmith came and I left my spare on the counter. The time I took my jewelry tray and put. Everything in the small safe Dad got me for Christmas. The code we set together. I wrote it all down. It looked obsessive. It felt like oxygen. I asked HR for proof of my shifts. You okay? My manager asked in that careful tone people use when they don't want to step into your mess. I'm just organizing, I said. I smiled, but I could feel the tremor in it. She printed schedule. Sheets and pulled the security footage timestamps from me. Keep these, she said. If you don't need them, fine. If you do, you'll be glad. Then one night, my phone buzzed with a message from Miss Alvarez. You might want to see this, she wrote. The bubble sat there like a lit match in the dark. The family story spread like oil. My aunt suggested a church accountability group. Someone else sent me an article about adult children who lie. My cousin, the one with the cakes, stopped liking my posts. Dad kept sending short texts. I'm trying. I know. Hang on. His words came like pebbles you drop into deep water. You don't hear them hit bottom dot, the humiliation stuck like gum under a shoe. Every time I pulled at it, it stretched and snapped back. But something else was growing too. A stubborn calm. The kind that sits in the back of your throat and waits. When your family paints you as a thief, normal things start to feel like crimes. Entering the kitchen, speaking in a room, even sleeping in your own bed. So I slept less. I went to the 24-hour laundromat and did loads I didn't need. I walked around the block until my legs felt like string. I showed up at work an hour early and counted the same box of thermometer covers 4 times. What they didn't know was, I'd already stopped trusting the family group chat. I'd started forwarding every message, photo, and voicemail to an email only I could access. I labeled them with dates, topics, and who sent what. I saved them twice. My phone, my cloud. I started attaching notes. Tessa says, unstable again. Rex calls me obsessed. Dad says, I'm trying. What they didn't know was, I had copies of the pharmacy schedule printouts. My manager had signed them. The security camera logs from the back office showed my face and my hands at the register at 11:58 p.m. and then 12:11 a.m., the exact night of the break-in. What they didn't know was Miss Alvarez had a doorbell camera. One night she'd laughed about it in the hallway. These cameras catch everything but the mail on time. When my phone lit up with her message, she followed it with a clip. The porch light flickered. A hoodie, a shape moving along the side yard. The timestamp? 11:42 p.m. What they didn't know was I'd drawn a simple map in my notes. Who was where, what was said, when the alarm beeped, which lights were on. It looked like overkill. It was just self-defense with bullet points. I wasn't strong in a big cinematic way. I wasn't rich or powerful. My hidden strength was a thing no one respects until you need it. I kept records. And people who don't like bullies will open their doors when you knocked out KIA or I sat across from me at a small table in a coffee shop that served drinks in chipped mugs and played old R&B. On a loop, we'd met in night classes. She was a paralegal working toward law school. She wore her hair back and her eyes forward. Okay, she said, flipping open a binder. We can request the 911 call logs and the officer's body cam footage. Your neighbor's video is gold if she signed an affidavit. No promises, but patterns pop. Patterns, I said, like the word had weight. People lie, but time doesn't. She said. Dad came in late with a manila envelope tucked under his jacket. He looked tired in a way I hadn't seen since the year my mom left. He slid the envelope to me, keeping his hand on it a second longer, like he was giving me something living. Homeowner's insurance correspondence. He said, eyes on the table. And a note about your grandma's bracelet. It's insured. Inventory update was requested. He had written a sticky note. It was in the safe 2 weeks ago. My throat tightened. Thanks, Dad. He nodded once, like that's all he had the energy for. Later at the grocery store, I heard Rex before I saw him. He talks free when he's on speaker. She fooled. He told a friend near the freezer aisle. Once there's a record, she's done. I turned and saw him with a cart full of energy drinks and frozen pizzas, hoodie up. He didn't see me. He laughed. Watch me teach her a lesson. Miss Alvarez's video had more than flicker and a hoodie. It showed a shape slipping along the side yard at 11:42 p.m., then a muffled crack. A pause, then the shape slipping out. The hoodie off, a shiny object in hand, a bracelet, a tool. The porch light stuttered like it was tired of lying. Then Tessa filed for a restraining order. The language in it snapped like a whip. She wrote, unhinged. She wrote, obsessive. She wrote, violent. Words that stick even when they're lies. A hearing date landed on the calendar with a thud Thursday, 9 a.m. the night before. I sat on the bus with Kiara's binder on my lap and Dad's envelope in my bag. My reflection looked back like a person I halfway recognized. I thought about showing up at the hearing with a crowd. I thought about making a scene. Then I pictured a small room, fluorescent lights, a table, a recorder. I pictured a place where bluffs die. I decided to keep it quiet. No spectacle. I wanted a room where truth had nowhere to hide. The interview room smelled like dry erase markers and old coffee. The walls were the color of apology. A detective sat with a notepad. Tessa and Rex came in together. Tessa's lips were tight and shiny. Rex slouched and bounced his leg like the floor owed him money. Dad sat against the wall, hands folded, face pale but steady. Kiara took the seat beside me, opened the binder, and slid her pen behind her ear. Detective cleared his throat. We're here about the restraining order request, he said, looking at Tessa first. And the alleged burglary. Tessa dabbed the corner of her eye, though she wasn't crying yet. We are victims here, she said. She is dangerous. I sat up. I've been at work, I said. I have proof. Kiara slid the first item across the table. Pharmacy time card, she said. Clock in and clock out, manager signed. The detective glanced, nodded. Okay. Kiara slid another paper. Security footage timestamps. Back office camera. Same night. He frowned down at the dates and times, tracing them with his finger. 11:58 p.m., 12:11 a.m., you were at work until after midnight? Yes, I said. I closed. Then I locked the gate. I have the lock code timestamps, too. Rex scoffed. She could have slipped out. The detective raised an eyebrow. From behind a locked gate with motion detectors? While she's on camera? Kiara didn't smile, but her eyes warmed. She slid the next sheet. 911 call log. Call placed from Ms. Tessa's phone at 12:07 a.m. The detective looked at Tessa. You called at 12:07? She folded her hands tighter. Yes, I was terrified. Interesting, he said, turning back. Because, according to this, Elena was still at work at 12:11 on camera. That's 4 minutes after your call. Tessa's chin tilted. She left early and came back. Kiara held up a hand. Before we speculate, there's more. She pulled out a printed screenshot. Group text message from Tessa to multiple relatives at 12:14 a.m. with photos of a broken window and an empty jewelry tray. The detective's pen stopped. Who took the pictures? I did, Tessa said quickly. I documented. Before officers arrived, he said, face neutral. Noted. Kiara set down a small flash drive, then a printed frame from a video. Neighbor doorbell camera, she said. Timestamp 11:42 p.m. figure entering side yard, then leaving. Hood removed. Object in hand. Rex leaned forward. That's not me. No one said it was, Kiara said softly. The detective took the flash drive. We'll verify the source. Who authorized this footage? Miss Alvarez? I said. Apartment 2B, she's willing to sign. The detective nodded again, slower. This time, he leaned into the frame, eyes narrowing. This is the side yard with the window, correct? Yes, I said. The one that was broken. Tessa shifted. We are victims, she repeated, as if more volume could make it true. She's obsessed. She stalks us. She keeps records. The detective's mouth twitched. Records. Kiara tapped the binder. Timeline of harassment toward my client. Utility bills still in her name. Texts where Miss Tessa refuses to transfer services. And one more thing. She picked up a letter on the table and smoothed it with the side of her hand. Homeowner's insurance. A claim was opened last week regarding a supposed loss of a family heirloom bracelet. The detective looked up sharply. Last week, Kiara nodded. Before the alleged break-in. Tessa glared at Dad. You gave her our mail? Dad didn't look at her. I gave her what belongs to her. He said, voice flat. Truth. Enough, the detective said. He turned to Rex. You said that's not you in the video. Rex stretched his mouth into a smirk. Anyone can wear a hoodie. Right, the detective said. So you won't mind stepping into the other room to go over your timeline. Rex's legs stopped bouncing. Why? Because someone was at that window at 11:42, the detective said calmly. And the 911 call came after midnight. And the person accused was still at work after midnight. I want to line it up. Tessa's hand shot out toward him. We are victims, she said, voice breaking. You need to listen. She's making this up. She's clever. I looked at Rex. You set me up, I said. My voice came out soft. It sounded like someone else. It sounded like me without begging. He laughed once, sharp. You think you matter that much? I think you didn't, I said. Not enough to plan well. The detective stood. We're going to pause here, he said. Miss Garcia, you're cleared of these allegations for now. We'll be following up regarding false reporting and property damage. Tessa's face crumpled, then hardened, then cracked again. You're blaming us? She said. We were scared. We were careless, Kiara finished, quiet. You were careless. Rex stood too fast and knocked his chair into the wall. This is insane. The detective nodded toward the door. Let's talk next door. Rex followed, muttering. Tessa stayed in the chair, one hand clutching her purse like it could float her. Dad let out a breath like he'd been underwater for months. Kiara closed the binder. We're done here for today, she said. She reached for my hand under the table and squeezed it once. Then let go. Outside. Morning didn't look like victory. It looked like a bus sighing at the curb and a guy on a bike laughing at a podcast. No sirens, no cameras, just light. Relief isn't loud. It's the silence that doesn't crush you. I signed a lease 2 neighborhoods over. The apartment was small. The paint was new. The windows stuck a little. The quiet didn't. I transferred every account with my name on it. I set alerts only I could see. I changed my cloud password and wrote it in a place even I would have trouble finding. I found my grandmother's bracelet in the safe where Dad said it would be. He couldn't look at it for long. He touched it once, like it was hot. Dad helped me carry boxes up the narrow stairs, shoes squeaking on each step. We didn't say much. He set down the last box and looked at the window. Good light, he said. Yeah, I said. We stood there with the soft hum of the fridge and the neighbor's radio through the wall. He rubbed his thumb and forefinger together like he was rolling a secret. I'm sorry, he said. He didn't say for what. He didn't have to Tessa send a message 2 days later. We all said things we regret. I stared at it for a long time. I didn't answer. Rex went offline. Rumors said the house sales slowed down. Investigations tend to make paperwork heavy. The first night in my new place, I slept with the window cracked and a fan on low. I expected to wake up panicked. I didn't. I woke up to birds and a car alarm 2 blocks over. I made coffee in a stovetop pot that spit and hissed like a cat. I breathed and didn't count the seconds. I finally understood I never needed their approval. I needed my own boundaries and proof I could walk away and still be myself. For once, their silence didn't hurt me, it freed me. Families don't always break clean. The pieces rub. The edges keep finding you when you're doing the dishes or waiting for the bus. You remember a word or a look or the feel of your name said wrong on purpose. But you also remember who held out a binder in a hand, who watched from a doorway and chose truth. You learn to save what matters and let the rest go. If you've ever had to prove your worth to those who doubted you, hit subscribe and tell me your story. I want to hear it, where you're watching from, what you did to protect your peace. Your voice matters here.